All right, guys, beard advice series time. We're going to learn something on this one. Stay tuned. Hey guys, Brian Haywood here. Welcome back to my Beards and Banjos YouTube channel where we discuss tips and tricks for your beards. We do some product reviews, some unboxings, starting to do some giveaways. But we also have a beard advice series where you guys get to send in some pictures to me, to the email address you see below, a little bit of information about what advice you're seeking. I take a look at that for a few weeks and you get featured in your own beard advice series video. So we're having a great time with that. And today we've got Jason. And Jason is a good member of the community. I was following him on Instagram. He had a picture of a right after he did his beard trim. I was like, man, that looks good. So I commented, that looks really good. He's like, yeah, put me on, use these pictures and do one of your beard advice series videos. I got these waves in the front that I always struggle with. Well, I really couldn't see him until I really started looking at it. He's got a little bit of waves there. I was like, sure, I'll put you on the list. So that was maybe 3 weeks ago, something like that. So this week I was like, okay, it's time to look at Jason's next on my list. Let me go check out his Instagram page. And I saw this. Moment of silence for Jason's first beard. All right, the moment is over. Time to reboot, time to rethink it. So it ends up, I almost guarantee this is going to end up being a good thing because it gets you away from what you were always doing and you get to experiment and try something. So he said on this post, there's like time to rethink it. And then I asked him about it. He's like, yeah, I still want to do the video. I think I want to go with the beard stache. Always wanted to try it. I was like, cool. So we're all going to learn about the beard stache. I've looked at a lot of pictures over this week, and you even though you're doing something that's a little bit different than a lot of folks, you still can even experiment around with the beard stache as things are happening on that. So if you don't know what a beard stache is basically keeping a big, healthy mustache and then just kind of scruff here on the sides. And there's all kind of different levels you can do to that. About how big that you want the mustache to be, how much scruff you want, and you can kind of change it from week to week instead of having this big long 5-6 months of growth you've got to get to before you can start getting the shape you want. Lots of experimenting you can do. So I think it's going to be fun. I'd seen some guys from Beard Brand do it. Jeff Cristiano, who did a beard stache. He makes videos for Beard Brand sometimes. He's like a guest. And then also Eric Banjos, the owner of Beard Brand. They both did beard staches. And I didn't like them when I first saw them. I think that, and I finally figured out this week why that is. It's a couple of reasons. One was they had really big beards to start with, and they just kept that big, huge mustache and shaved everything else off, and it was such a drastic change. And the other thing is, for me, the mustache was like way big. Once it gets down a little big like mine, you start going over your bottom lip, and then you've got nothing else to support that on your face. For me, I didn't like the really huge, epic mustache with the short stubble. But I saw a lot of other pictures of shorter mustaches with a beard stache this week that I actually kind of liked. All right, so let's kind of talk about that. There's several famous celebrities that have kind of done variations on the beard stache. I think Zac Efron's done one. Henry Cavill, who plays Superman, he's done one. And then you've got some other kind of models and pictures and stuff that I saw. So what you want to do there is just kind of let everything on the mustache grow out. And I kind of marked this one. You'll see a lot of the guys with the shorter mustaches, they actually let the kind of the bottom part or on each side come down a little bit. So if you kind of let all of that grow, you can get a full mustache that way. But then if you go really big and epic, you might want to kind of level it off. You don't want to close any doors on the way to whatever you're trying to get to there. So I would kind of keep it a little bit lower there as everything grows out, and then you just kind of figure how often you want to do the buzzing stuff around it. You could actually shave it completely if you wanted to, and like shave once a week and let it grow back, and then do that every week, or you could just buzz it short every week. Lots of different options as that goes. One other thing I would suggest, I saw this on a couple of pictures, I think it looks good with the shorter mustaches on the beard stache, and that is the soul patch area. You can actually let that grow out a little bit too with the mustache, and that actually looks good on several of these guys that I saw. So you can mess around with how thick you want that soul patch, and then kind of buzz everything else around it. Or you could go with everything else being kind of a uniform length. And I think once the mustache gets big, you could actually have anywhere from like very, very little scruff, almost shaved, all the way to like up to like maybe a 1 month growth if you wanted to, when if you get a big, huge mustache that you want to rock like that. So lots of different options. So the other thing you want to think about, I think, would be your lines. Like if you're just keeping everything natural and you're just kind of buzzing everything with the guard on and just going over the whole thing, you may not want to worry about cutting any lines in. However, there's some more options for you. You can let bits and pieces of this grow out a little bit further. So I don't know how your cheek line grows naturally, but if you want to, you can kind of establish a little bit of a cheek line, let that scruff grow out a little bit more, would be one option. Or you could just keep everything natural. You see this guy right here's got a little bit of higher natural growth on his cheeks. So if you you can mess around with that. If yours is a little bit heavy there and you don't like it, you can establish your cheek line and just keep everything like that. Same kind of thing with your neckline. If it grows way down your neck, and that can get really aggravating. That's the worst part for me, is when I'm growing out things from scratch, is when that gets real prickly down there. So if you want, you can always edge out your neckline. All right, kind of keep that like that, and then play around with your scruff that way. Or you could just let the scruff come out naturally all over and not worry about establishing lines. And then I saw this guy's picture, which to me was very interesting. It's like he's almost doing a Hollywoodian. If you can take a look at it, he's actually got some what looks like a line right here. So he's got scruff in the goatee area, a little heavier scruff, and then he's got the line right here. So you can play around with that, and then he's got a shorter here on the side. So all different kind of things you can mess with there. If you want to kind of play around with just having more hair in the goatee area, you could do that. You could extend it out and do the Hollywoodian. You could even play around with how low you want your sideburns to fill in. So, I mean, if you want to try the longer sideburns and have the scruff below that and have this a little bit longer. So you can play around with how far your sideburns come down, if you want to establish lines or not, the soul patch area. And then as your mustache grows out, you want to kind of figure out where you want to go with that. Do you want to go the big epic route like Jeff Boncristiano had, or like, I've got a big mustache, I don't have a beard stash. So you can either do that, or you can kind of keep the cop stash. Obviously, you're going to have to go through these phases on the way out. So kind of the cop stash looks really good, especially with the soul patch. And then all kind of stuff you can play around with. So now's the time to experiment. All right, so you kind of got away from that big beard that you had, and now it's time to experiment and gain some more experience on the way out. Get a lot of practice with those clippers, buzzing everything down. You can work on your fading skills, right? If you want to leave it a little bit longer down here and fade it up into your hair. And then the other part obviously would be talking about your hair. I can't tell for sure on these pictures how much growth and how strong your growth is at the top. I don't know if it's a little weaker, or you still have a full head of hair and everything's coming in thick. A lot of these guys with the beard stache, if you'll take a look, they've got kind of a little bit longer on the top. But not all of them. I found some that just kind of keeps everything buzz as well. So you kind of have all kinds of options you can play around with. The world is your oyster, as the saying goes. So have fun with it. Post lots of pictures. Everybody's going to be jealous, I think, when you have that beard stache. It's like, man, that's different. And everybody else has got these big beards and the box look and all of that kind of thing to deal with. And you're going to be able to change your appearance like on a weekly basis. So interesting. I'll be excited to see where you go with it. So I hope you guys learned a little bit about the beard stache and some things to consider. And even if just in general, a lot of times people will go with kind of the scruff look, which would be kind of not worrying about the mustache growing it out, have everything kind of short and stubbly and changing it on a weekly basis. So if you don't like the beard stache, you could get rid of the mustache part of that and keep everything else kind of in line. So all kinds of options. Have fun with it. Learn stuff. You still get to use your beard oil. May not need the beard balm, but you'll get to use some mustache wax. So stay tuned to my channel. I'll be glad to help you out with the mustache wax part because I'm getting plenty of experience these days myself. All right. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you got a little food for thought, learned a little something. And Jason, I hope this helped give you some ideas or some considerations there on your beard stash and how cool that can actually be. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.